Avoid this mistake if you want to maintain respect in your relationships. Have you ever noticed how one bad habit can quietly creep into your life and start ruining everything? At first, it feels harmless, maybe even justified. But before you know it, that habit becomes a pattern, and suddenly, people seem distant, less interested, and even avoidant. The truth is, certain behaviors can slowly but surely erode the respect others have for you, even if they don't tell you outright. Today, we're diving into one of the most overlooked yet destructive habits: constant complaining. It doesn't just impact your mindset, it poisons your relationships, drains the people around you, and creates a barrier between you and the respect you want to build. If you've ever found yourself venting endlessly, only to notice that people start pulling away, this video is for you. Let's uncover why this habit is so damaging, how it subtly alienates people, and what you can do to break free from the negativity spiral. By the end, you'll see how even small changes in your mindset can lead to huge shifts in how people perceive and respect you. Ready? Let's get into it. Number 1. The trust killer: how gossiping erodes respect. Picture this: a sunny afternoon, laughter echoing through a cozy cafe as you sip your favorite latte with friends. Everyone's sharing updates, telling jokes, and swapping stories. It feels good, doesn't it? To feel connected, to be in the know, to share a laugh at someone else's expense. We've all been there, leaning in, exchanging whispered secrets, thinking it's harmless. But is it really? Let's rewind a little. Maybe you remember the sting of finding out someone shared something deeply personal about you without your permission. A time when your trust was broken, and you wondered, what else are they saying about me when I'm not around? That feeling, cold, unsettling, almost nauseating, is exactly what gossiping does to others. For me, it was college. Gossip wasn't just a habit, it was practically a social activity. My friends and I would sit for hours dissecting everyone else's lives: who was dating who failed their exams, who had a crush on someone way out of their league. It was all fair game. I'll never forget the time I shared a secret about Emily, a quiet, quirky girl in our group. She had confided in me about her feelings for a guy, trusting me to keep it to myself. Instead, I made it the centerpiece of our next coffee chat. The story spread like wildfire, morphing into exaggerated jokes and cruel laughs. When Emily found out, the look on her face was one I'll never forget. That mixture of hurt and betrayal, it gutted me, though I didn't want to admit it at the time. She started avoiding us, eventually leaving the group entirely. The worst part? Deep down, I knew it was my fault. Gossiping is like feeding poison into a well from which everyone drinks. At first it seems harmless, even entertaining, but it slowly destroys trust, corrodes relationships, and makes people wary of you. Think about it. If someone gossips to you, don't you wonder what they're saying about you when you're not there? This isn't just a personal problem. In one of my early jobs, I made a similar mistake. A co-worker confided in me about a health issue. I casually mentioned it to a couple of colleagues, not thinking twice. When he found out, he didn't yell or create a scene. He just looked at me with quiet disappointment. He told me he had trusted me, and I'd let him down. From that moment on, our working relationship was strained, and I realized I had sabotaged something that could have been meaningful. Gossiping isn't just about words, it's about character. It's about the choice to respect someone's privacy or turn it into entertainment. So the next time you're tempted to lean in and share that juicy tidbit, ask yourself, is this worth losing someone's trust over? Number 2, reliability matters. Building trust. Through consistency. Imagine this. Your best friend calls you, their voice full of excitement. I'm throwing a party this Saturday and it won't be the same without you. You promise. I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it for the world. The day arrives, but so do 100 distractions. You decide to skip it thinking, it's just one party. They'll understand. Now, flip the script. Have you ever been on the other end, waiting for someone who promised to show up, checking your phone every few minutes, only to realize they're not coming? The hurt that comes with being let down sticks with you longer than you might expect. I've been both the promise breaker and the one left waiting. In my early 20s, I was the definition of flaky. I'd say yes to everything but rarely followed through. There was one moment, though, that still makes my chest tighten. My friend Sarah had planned her birthday party for weeks, and I promised I'd be there. She decorated her place, cooked her heart out, and kept checking the door, expecting me to walk in. But I didn't. I got caught up in something else and didn't even text her until hours after the party had started. When I finally called, her voice was hollow. She didn't yell or guilt-trip me. She just said, "I wish you'd told me sooner." That one line cut deeper than any angry rant could have. Our friendship wasn't the same after that. She stopped inviting me to things, and I realized that my unreliability had cost me something irreplaceable. The truth is, reliability is the cornerstone of respect. Whether it's a friend, a family member, or a co-worker, people need to know they can count on you. At work, I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I was eager to impress, so I overcommitted. I'd say yes to every project and then struggle to deliver on time. My boss pulled me aside one day during a performance review and said, "You're talented, but people don't know if they can trust you to follow through." That hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized that reliability isn't just about being there. It's about consistency. It's about showing up when you say you will, keeping your word, and proving that you value others' time as much as your own. Think about the relationships in your life. Who do you trust the most? Chances are it's someone who's consistently shown up for you, who keeps their promises, and who's there when it counts. Now ask yourself, are you that person for someone else? Number 3, listen to learn, breaking the habit of interrupting. Picture this, a lively conversation at a dinner table. Stories are being shared, laughter fills the air, and everyone's leaning in, hanging on to every word. Suddenly, someone jumps in mid-sentence, cutting off the speaker with their own story. The mood shifts. The flow of the conversation breaks. Have you ever been that person, or been interrupted like that? I used to think interrupting was a sign of enthusiasm. If I jumped in with a story or a solution, it meant I was engaged, right? Wrong. In reality, it signals something much worse. What I have to say is more important than what you're saying. One memory that haunts me is from an early job where we had brainstorming sessions every week. I was eager to prove myself, so I'd constantly cut people off to share my ideas. I thought I was being proactive, but my manager didn't see it that way. One day, she stopped the meeting, turned to me and said, "You need to let people finish. You're not listening. You're just waiting for your turn to talk." Her words stung, but they didn't hit home until a co-worker pulled me aside later. "You come across as dismissive," he said. "It's like you think your ideas are the only ones that matter." That stopped me in my tracks. I didn't see myself that way, but clearly that's how others perceived me. It wasn't just at work. In social settings, my habit of interrupting caused friction too. One night, a close friend was sharing a deeply personal story about their struggles with anxiety. Halfway through, I jumped in, thinking my similar experience would make them feel understood. Instead, they paused and said, "Can I finish?" That moment taught me a painful but necessary lesson. Listening isn't about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being fully present and giving the other person the space to express themselves. The Stoics had a lot to say about this. They believed in the power of silence, and the importance of understanding before responding. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart and a quiet tongue." Interrupting isn't just rude, it undermines connection. It tells people their thoughts aren't valuable. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to jump in. Pause. Let the other person finish their thought. You might be surprised at how much you learn and how much more respect you earn. Number 4, stop the negativity spiral, the damage of constant complaining. Close your eyes and picture this. You're sitting with a friend, catching up over coffee. They start venting about their job, how unfair their boss is, how incompetent their co-workers are, how miserable they feel. At first, you nod along, sympathizing. But then it continues. Every conversation, every moment, becomes an endless loop of grievances. Slowly, you start avoiding their calls. Their negativity becomes exhausting. Now flip the script. Have you ever been the one doing all the complaining? I have. And let me tell you, it's a habit that pushes people away faster than you realize. A few years ago, I was stuck in a job that I absolutely hated. The workload was overwhelming, the management was chaotic, and I felt like I wasn't appreciated. Instead of finding solutions, I let my frustration take over. Every day I complained, to my co-workers, to my friends, to my family. At first, they listened, offering advice and encouragement, but over time, their patience wore thin. I remember one moment vividly. I was out with a group of friends, and the conversation turned to weekend plans. Before I knew it, I was ranting again, this time about how unfair it was that I had to work overtime. One friend, clearly fed up, interrupted me and said, "Do you ever talk about anything else? You're always so negative." The words stung, but they were a wake-up call. I realized I wasn't just venting, I was draining the energy of everyone around me. My constant complaining wasn't solving anything. Instead, it was isolating me, making me the person people avoided. The thing about complaining is that it traps you in a cycle. The more you focus on what's wrong, the less you notice what's right. It's like shining a spotlight on the cracks in your life while ignoring the solid foundation beneath them. And the worst part, it drags others down with you. Another moment that changed my perspective happened during a group project in college. One of my teammates, Mike, was the classic chronic complainer. Every meeting, he'd gripe about how unfair the workload was, how the professor didn't know what they were doing, and how pointless the project felt. At first, we tried to empathize, but his negativity was contagious. Before long, the entire team's morale had plummeted. We were more focused on getting the project over with than doing it well, and the result showed. Looking back, I realized that Mike's attitude didn't just impact him, it affected all of us. It made me think about the times I'd done the same thing to others, unknowingly spreading my negativity and dragging them down with me. The Stoics had a profound insight into this. They taught that our energy should be focused on what we can control, not what we can't. Complaining doesn't fix problems, it magnifies them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So, how do we break free from the spiral of negativity? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to how often you complain. Is it once a day? Once an hour? Next, challenge yourself to reframe your mindset. Instead of focusing on the problem, think about possible solutions. For example, instead of complaining about a heavy workload, consider asking yourself, what can I do to manage my time better? If your job feels thankless, think about what you can control, whether it's improving your skills, seeking feedback, or even looking for a better opportunity. One small change I made was practicing gratitude. Every day, I forced myself to write down 3 things I was thankful for, no matter how small. At first, it felt cheesy, even forced. But over time, it rewired my thinking. I started noticing the good things in my life, the supportive co-workers, the skills I was gaining, the small wins I had overlooked. The shift wasn't immediate, and it wasn't easy. But the more I focused on gratitude and solutions, the less I felt the need to complain. And something amazing happened. People started gravitating toward me again. My relationships improved, and I became someone people wanted to be around rather than someone they tolerated out of obligation. Complaining is easy. It's a reflex, but it's also a habit that can rob you of joy, respect, and meaningful connections. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into negativity, pause. Ask yourself, am I looking for solutions, or am I just spreading the problem? It's not about bottling up your feelings or pretending everything's perfect. It's about breaking free from the negativity spiral and focusing on what truly matters. Remember, energy is contagious. Choose wisely what you spread to others. In a world filled with distractions and negativity, breaking free from toxic habits like complaining can set you apart as someone truly exceptional. It's not just about improving your relationships with others. It's about transforming how you see yourself and the challenges you face. By focusing on gratitude, finding solutions, and radiating positivity, you not only earn respect, but inspire those around you to do the same. Drop A in the comments if you've made it this far. This shows that you're part of the rare 0.01% who actually commit to self-improvement. If you're serious about leveling up your mindset and relationships, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Together, we'll keep striving for growth, respect, and the best version of ourselves.